Okay, we're exiting the summer of 2023, which means the kids are back in school, we're in a routine, and it's time to take a look at what's going on in the residential real estate market in the Jacksonville, Florida area. But to get a full perspective on what's happening, let's first take a look at interest rates in general, and then specifically mortgage interest rates, and then a few markers that give us good insight into where the market's heading in the near future. Okay, so as mentioned, the first thing that we want to take a look at is just interest rates in general. And so I've got here a 1 year or 12-month Treasury bill rate chart. And essentially, so we're at 5.39% at the end of August. And essentially the thing that I wanted to point out was this time last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had a lot of institutional buyers purchasing residential real estate in Northeast Florida. And for the most part, those groups have disappeared. There are still a few sightings of hedge funds buying homes in our area, but not nearly as often. And the reason is, for the most part, they can get a better return with less risk elsewhere. So if you can go buy a T-bill and get a 5+% return on it with almost no risk and almost nothing to do to make that happen, why not do that when your cash on cash might be similar in real estate? So that's just thought number one, is that generally interest rates have gone up in the last year, 2 years, 3 years from, what was a few years ago, basically negative interest rates, right around zero for a little bit of time there. Thought number two. So the Freddie Mac PMMS, which is a mortgage survey that they do weekly, comes out on Thursdays, and this most recent survey shows that their average is at almost 7.25%, 7.23. And don't take this as fact for what you would get if you were applying for a mortgage. Could be higher, could be lower. There are 100 factors that would change what this interest rate actually is for you if you're refinancing or purchasing a home. So that's not the point. The point is it's an average that they keep up with on a weekly basis. And you can see in this chart here that it's at a point that's basically the highest we've seen in the last, probably 10 years, give or take. But even in the recent past, it's as high as it has been, which typically slows down residential real estate purchases a bit. So I wanted to set the stage with that information before we look at what's going on in our market. Okay, so even though I just mentioned that mortgage interest rates are as high as they've been in a year, here's the kicker for the greater Jacksonville area. And these statistics include Duval, St. Johns, Clay, and Nassau counties, so the greater Jacksonville area. And the thing that I always talk about in determining where the market's headed in the near future is the month supply of inventory, or absorption rate, as some call it. And it's this number and chart down here at the bottom of the screen showing 2.7 months of supply. And what that means is for the number of active listings that we have in our area, based on the rate at which people are buying homes in the recent month or recent quarter, recent year, in just over 2.5 months or 2.7 months, the buyers would purchase all of the available inventory. Now, again, that's not an exact science because there's constantly homes coming on the market and home selling. And so it's an ever-changing or dynamic environment. But you measure this against the historic level of inventory, which at about 4 months, you have a balanced market. Sellers and buyers are equally positioned for negotiating. At 2.7 months, we're actually still in a seller's market. It may be that your particular home in your particular neighborhood, in your price point, is got more inventory or less inventory. We'd have to look at that specifically. But the point is, on average, it's still a seller's market. And the reason is that there's just not enough inventory to support the number of buyers coming into the market and purchasing a home. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to mention, and this is what people typically want to talk about when they're talking about the market or real estate market, is prices. And this is the median sales price. And so you can see here that in July of 23, the median sale price for our area was at $398,500. And you can't see on the graph because I've got it in a PDF form. But last year at this time, the median sales price was $400,000. So you can see the trip that we've been on. Prices came down quite a bit, and then they came up quite a bit. And so the point is that prices are still stable. Homes are still, residential real estate is still in demand, whether that's first-time buyers, whether that's relocation from other more expensive communities, areas, states. There's still plenty of people that want to buy homes. And now the state of Florida has done a good job about creating programs to aid first-time buyers in purchasing their next home. You can call me and ask me about that. We'll get you into a loan program or talk to someone who can get you to a loan program that may help. But point is, if you've got first-time buyers that are incentivized to purchase, that unlocks the inventory of the homeowner who's moving up. And then for the most part, if you're at like the luxury price point in our market, you probably coming through the pandemic and COVID and everything, if you had assets, those assets are worth well more than they were when we started. And therefore, your balance sheet is still pretty healthy. And so if you're thinking about a move, you may be incentivized to make a move. So all of that said, even though rates are high, it still can be a really good time to make a move for a lot of people. And that's why we see prices stable, inventory low, things still sort of clipping along, though not at the same pace that they were in 2021 or 2022. Still a very healthy real estate market. So if you've got any questions about that, I would love to catch up. I could talk about this stuff all day long. 904-405-1995, or feel free to shoot me an email, jeff@pursuitrealestate.com.